What if I told you that more than 5,000 years ago, in the middle of the desert, the first true civilization in human history was born? A people who invented writing, built city-states, and worshipped gods older than time itself. Welcome to Sumer, the land of kings, myths, and mysteries. Let's uncover the untold story of the Sumerians, one of the first civilizations. Long before Cyrus built an empire, Egypt raised its mighty pyramids, or China established its first dynasties, another people were already laying the foundations of human civilization. These were the Sumerians, a society that did something no one had done before. They built cities. Not just villages or settlements, but organized urban centers with defensive walls, paved streets, towering temples, and written laws. They chose to settle in a land that would later be called Mesopotamia, meaning the land between the rivers. These two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, created fertile soil through yearly floods, covering the land with nutrient-rich silt. But this region, while rich in farmland, was poor in natural resources. There was no stone for building, no forests for timber, and very little metal. This scarcity forced the Sumerians to innovate. They had to learn how to trade, how to engineer, and how to organize a society that could thrive under such conditions. By around 3000 BCE, the Sumerians had already made revolutionary discoveries. They created complex irrigation systems to control the unpredictable rivers, turning barren desert into productive farmland. They invented the wheel, which changed not only transport but also pottery and industry. And most importantly, they developed the world's first writing system, Cuneiform, wedge-shaped marks pressed into clay tablets. This invention transformed human history, making it possible to record laws, trade, myths, and even personal letters. Writing changed everything. For the first time in human history, knowledge no longer depended on memory or storytelling alone. It could be recorded, stored, and passed down through generations. At first, Sumerian writing was simple and practical. Using clay tablets, scribes pressed wedge-shaped marks to keep track of trade, numbers of sheep, measures of grain, or jars of beer. But over time, these simple symbols evolved into a powerful system of communication. Soon, scribes were recording not just goods, but poems, laws, contracts, hymns, and myths. Writing became the voice of civilization itself. The most famous creation of Sumerian literature is the Epic of Gilgamesh, the world's oldest known story. It tells the tale of Gilgamesh, a mighty king of Uruk, who embarks on a quest for immortality. Along his journey, he battles monsters, defies gods, and encounters a great flood that sounds strikingly similar to the biblical story of Noah. The Sumerians were one of the first civilizations to use the wheel. Initially, the wheel was used in carts and carts, making it easier and faster to transport goods, grain, and water. Later, the wheel was also used in the manufacture of tools and other industries, creating a major revolution in daily life. The Mesopotamian land did not receive enough rain, so the Sumerians built canals, dams, and tributaries to direct river water to agricultural fields. This irrigation system allowed for regular agriculture, increased yields, and enabled cities to support larger populations. The Sumerians were not only powerful within their own cities, but also had extensive relations with neighboring civilizations. They traded with the Elamites, Akkadians, and other regions of Mesopotamia, exchanging goods such as grain, metals, tools, and pottery. The Sumerians did not live in one united kingdom. Instead, they built a network of city-states, independent cities like Ur, Uruk, and Lagash, each surrounded by walls and ruled by its own king. These kings claimed authority by divine right, presenting themselves as chosen by the gods to rule. But in reality, it was often the priests who held the true power, for they controlled knowledge, ritual, and the wealth of the temples. At the heart of every Sumerian city rose a massive ziggurat, a stepped pyramid of mud brick that dominated the skyline. These monumental structures were not tombs like the pyramids of Egypt, but temples, sacred bridges between earth and the heavens. Priests climbed the towering stairs to perform rituals and sacrifices, believing that by doing so, they could keep the gods satisfied and ensure the city's prosperity. Life in Sumer was not peaceful. Rival cities frequently clashed over land and water, leading to the world's first recorded wars. Yet amid the conflict, Sumer also became a cradle of science, mathematics, and astronomy. Sumerian scholars developed a base 60 number system, giving us the 60-minute hour and the 360-degree circle. They studied the skies, charted the movements of stars, and laid the groundwork for both science and religion for thousands of years to come. The world of the Sumerians was shaped by their gods, powerful, unpredictable beings who controlled every aspect of nature and human life. Unlike the single, all-loving gods of later religions, the Sumerian gods were many, each with their own personalities, rivalries, and moods. Yet their myths and legends lived on. Stories of creation, divine floods, and heroic journeys were adopted and reshaped by later civilizations. The Akkadians, the Babylonians, and even the writers of the Bible. In many ways, the Sumerian gods and their myths became the blueprint for the religions and stories that followed. By the year 2300 BCE, the proud independence of the Sumerian city-states came to an end. A powerful conqueror named Sargon of Akkad rose from the north and achieved something never before seen in history. He united all of Sumer under his rule. By around 2000 BCE, the last of the great Sumerian cities had fallen. Their temples turned to ruins, their streets to dust. Yet their legacy, writing, law, mathematics, astronomy, and myth, endured, carried forward by the Akkadians, Babylonians, and countless civilizations that followed. The Sumerians were gone, but the world they had created had only just begun. The legacy of the Sumerians did not stop at Mesopotamia. To the east, in the land of what is today Iran, early civilizations were also taking shape. The Elamites, for example, built cities in the Zagros Mountains and adopted many practices influenced by Sumerian innovations, from writing systems to religious rituals. Later, other Iranian civilizations, including the Medians, Persians, and Achaemenids, would inherit this rich cultural and scientific heritage. The ideas of law, administration, and monumental architecture that began in Sumer found echoes in the grand palaces and cities of ancient Iran. In this way, the spark first lit in the plains between the Tigris and Euphrates traveled eastward, shaping a new chapter of civilization. So next time you read a book, glance at a clock, or gaze at the stars, remember, civilization began with Sumer, and its legacy lives on in Iran and beyond. If you enjoyed this journey through the cradle of civilization, hit the like button and leave a comment below. Which part of the Sumerian story amazed you the most? Their inventions, their myths, or their legacy in Iran? Share your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into ancient history.